Good evening, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my beautiful rideshare revolutionaries. It's me, Gio, the leader of the rideshare revolution, the rideshare rockstar, and the captain of the 2K club, and the realest, the funniest, handsomest, and the bearded-less driver on YouTube. And I don't want to sound too over dramatic, but all right. So I got news from a driver buddy of mine in Minneapolis. The flat surge has landed in the Minnesota market, and my buddy Bam, who drives in New Orleans, said the flat surge dropped there. So it does appear that the flat surge, the new surge, is expanding, and it's probably going to be in more and more markets sooner rather than later. I have to apologize for the quality of this video. I'm driving home right now, so all my thoughts may not be together, but whatever. I just want to let you guys know, don't panic. While the flat surge is not great, it's definitely not as good as the multiplier. We're gonna go through a couple things, just try to educate drivers that might be a little bit intimidated by it, or really just kind of like depressed about it. But you guys can trust me. I'm a full-time driver. I'm the first driver. I mean, yeah, I believe I'm the first driver on record to make $2,000 a week with the flat surge. Even though everyone said it was going to be impossible, but what the fuck do those idiots know? So, all right, I've only got a couple screenshots of the flat surge. I take a lot of screenshots. I deleted most of them. So, this is what the flat surge looks like in Chicago, right? It kind of, from a distance, it kind of looks like the old surge. You know, the deeper red, orange to get. Obviously, the higher the dollar amount. And here's what you guys have to understand about the flat surge too. Is, all right. So first things first. God, I hate saying that. Okay, so as you guys can see there, the surge, that says 1.25 and 2.25 and $2. From the best I can tell, if you want to compare this to the multiplier, because one of my drivers in Atlanta, he was looking at a $50 flat surge, and it was like a 5 point something on this other app called Surge Chaser. So Surge Chaser still kind of like lets you know what it would be in the multiplier, and it wasn't. So a 2x is $8. So every $8 is another multiple of the surge. So if you see a $16 flat surge, that would be equivalent to a 3x. Now, a lot of you are going to be like, well, that's not what the Rider app says. That's true. It's not what the Rider app says. But what you guys have to understand is, what Uber charges the passengers and what they pay us are two completely different things. Someone commented on my channel earlier saying that that they were charging passengers $44 for a ride, and with the flat surge he'd only make like 18, which might be true, but Uber and Lyft both price gouge crazy on airport rides. So just keep that in mind, guys. $8 is about a 2x, so 16 is a 3x, 24, 4x, 32, 5x, right? So, moving on. With the flat surge, oh yeah, and before we go on to anything else, many of you might think that this will kill your earnings on like longer airport rides or whatever. It may very well do that. A lot of flat surge rides, if you let's say I was downtown when I got this ride, a $2 flat surge right there. Let's say I pick someone up there and they're going to O'Hare in the morning. That's about a 17-mile ride for 20 minutes without traffic. Without that surge being multiplied, that's going to come out to like $22. But the flat surge does multiply sometimes. It's not really, from what I understand, from what other drivers have told me, sometimes when Uber or Lyft, whenever Uber quotes the passenger a price and the price goes up, that's when the flat surge goes up. That's when it multiplies. What I had a driver in my group chat, I think it was a $7 flat surge turned into a $71 flat surge on a very lengthy ride. So on some rides, the flat surge will multiply. It will not multiply on every single ride. And it's got to be a long distance ride from the best I can tell. So that's one thing to understand too, is it's not going to multiply all the time, but it will multiply sometimes. Another thing we're going to cover is if you, for example, let's say you drive the morning rush. In Chicago, there's a pretty consistent surge from 7 to 9 a.m., okay? Most weekdays, unless it's slow or whatever. Let's say you drop someone off and it's 8:58 and there's a $4 flat surge, but you don't get a ride request. And then the morning rush is over around like 9:05, 9:10 a.m. and all of a sudden you notice like the surge map is gone. There's no surge. But there's going to show a little bar at the bottom saying your next trip, $4 or whatever. Something like that, right? Some people call this the sticky surge for that reason, because whatever the highest surge amount you have, that will automatically be applied to your next ride. But it will not multiply if the surge is, if you stuck to that surge and you get a 45 plus and the surge is gone from around the map, but you still have some, it's not going to multiply, but you're still going to have it. That's why a lot of drivers called it stealing surge from the airport, because what they were doing was there'd be a $7 or $8 flat surge at the airport lot, and what they would do is they would go into the lot, get the surge, and then just collect rides with that extra surge amount, and those rides actually pay pretty well, because if they weren't going a very long distance, then they just made $13, $14 for 5-minute rides. So that's one thing you have to understand about the flat surge too, is if you drive into it and you don't get a request, as long as you're in the surge zone, you're gonna maintain the highest surge dollar amount until your next ride request. Now if you get a ride request and you don't accept that ride, then that dollar amount disappears and there's no surge applied to your next trip. What else we got to cover here? Sorry, my mouth is really dry. It's been a long day. Oh, yeah, pools. Okay. The flat surge, new surge, is very beneficial when you're taking pool rides. Okay, if you drive in a market that takes pools, because let's just use, like I said, I don't have the screenshots, guys, so I apologize. But let's imagine you're driving in a busy area and you get a $7 pool request. It's going to say on the screenshot, first ride $7. Every additional passenger will be like $4.50 or $5.50 or $5. So every additional passenger you get pinged before that ride ends is going to pay an additional $5. So if you drive in an area that you know is heavy with pools, then you can really, those rides literally pay 3 or 4 times more than what a traditional pool would pay. So when it comes to pools, the flat surge is very beneficial. I don't want to miss anything else, but I think that's more or less it. So just to go over the multiplier amount, if it's the best way to kind of like compare and contrast it is $8 is about equal to 2x. So every $8 is a multiple. So obviously 8 is 2x, 16 3x, and so on and so forth. The flat surge does multiply on some lengthy trips, but not all. The flat surge, if you are in the middle of the flat surge and you don't get a ride request, then that dollar amount stays on for the next trip, as long as you don't deny the next trip. And pools are very beneficial with the flat surge. So I think that's all I got for this one. I'll try to make a more in-depth one if you guys want one. I've covered this a couple times already, but I know as the flat surge expands to new markets, there's probably going to be more people looking up this kind of info. So that's all I got for this one, guys. I want to thank y'all for watching. Everyone, please stay safe, stay classy, stay driven. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.